Hello, Primary 4 students. How are you? Welcome in your science class with me, Dr. Shaimaa Hamdy Kassem, and your channel, the Big Sister channel. And now we will study lesson 2 from concept 3, unit 1. Here we have activity 4. We already know that we see things because they reflect light into our eyes. As a source of light emits its own light, and these light rays fall on any object, so these objects will reflect the light into our eyes so we can see the objects. So here, this is the rays as the sunlight rays. You know that light is a visible form of energy. So light is energy and visible. What the meaning of visible? That we can see the light. So it is visible form of energy that travels in the form of waves. So now we know that there are sound waves, and this is the light waves. Both of them are energy, and they travel in form of waves. Also, light rays are represented by straight lines. So we draw straight lines to represent the light rays fall on an object or hit an object, so it reflects or bounces off from these objects. And this is the reflected light rays that enter our eyes so we can see the object. Now, as you are great scientists, we will do an experiment. But first we have question. Which one of the following objects is shiny and smooth? Is it plastic spoon or wooden chair, mirror, or t-shirt? Which one of these 4 objects is shiny and smooth? Yes, excellent. Mirror is the shiny and smooth object from the 4 objects. And the other 3 objects are not smooth or shiny. So here we have different materials, okay? We will do an experiment that shows how light interact with different materials, okay? So we will see, do all objects reflect light rays with the same amount? We will see if it's yes or no. Here, as you see, and this is a mirror. It is shiny and smooth, okay? And metal, as you see it, also is shiny and smooth, as we have many examples for metals. So now, we have shiny and smooth metals as mirror and metal, and we have rough materials, okay? There aren't shiny, there aren't smooth. So the opposite of smooth is rough, okay? So rough materials like plastic spoon, piece of wood, t-shirt, paper, all of these are rough materials, okay? So now we will guess which material will reflect a large amount of light, the shiny smooth material or the rough material. We will think and then we will do the experiment so we will know. Here are the tools. We have piece of wood, spoon, plastic spoon, okay? Mirror, piece of metal, t-shirt, paper, and a flashlight. The flashlight is the source of light. So if the light that emits from the flashlight falls on the mirror, what will happen? The mirror will reflect the light, and we will observe that the light reflected, the amount of light reflected from the mirror is large, as you see here. So it looks shiny, okay? Also, if we repeat this step with the metal, you will see that the metal reflects large amount of light. But If we do this with the piece of wood, so we will see that it reflects small amount of light, and also the paper and the t-shirt. So now we have the answer of this question. Do all objects reflect light rays with the same amount? So the answer will be no. As we have concluded that mirror and piece of metal reflects more amount of light than the paper or t-shirt or piece of wood or plastic spoon. So the shiny, smooth materials reflect more light than the rough materials. The reason? Because in the smooth, shiny materials, the reflected light rays are in one direction. So the smooth and shiny materials reflect light rays in one direction. But in rough materials, the light rays reflected in different directions. We have now a very important information that the light rays reflected from the shiny, smooth materials in one direction with the same angle at which they strike. Strike means hit, okay, the object originally. And we will explain this point. So here, the important information that the light rays reflected in one direction from the smooth materials. But in rough materials, the rays reflected in different direction. They scatter or diffuse. Okay, scatter or diffuse means that the light rays reflected in different directions. Here to explain how the light rays reflected with the same angle at which they strike the object originally. As you see, the green ray, we colored this to know how the angles are the same. The green ray reflected, okay, with angle equals to the yellow ray, equals to the red ray. So here, the light rays reflected with the same angle at which they hit or fall on the object originally, okay? But here, as you see here, this is different. Here, the light rays hit rough material. So, the light rays reflected in different directions. They diffuse or scatter. As you see here, the angle of the reflected green light ray different from the yellow, different from the red, different from the blue one. So each one has angle of reflection different from the other. This is why the light rays diffuse or scatter or reflected in different direction. Here we can say that the direction of the reflected light depends on the smoothness of the surface. If the surface is smooth, so it will reflect light in one direction. If the surface is rough or less smooth, so it will reflect less amount of light because the light diffused, scattered, or reflected in different direction. So here, very important point that the direction of the light reflected from the objects depends on the smoothness of the surface. The conclusion: shiny and smooth materials reflect a large amount of light that falls on them, and rough materials reflect small amount of light that falls on them. And here we have a very important question that came in the last year exam. It was, what happens if the mobile phone fell and the screen broke? How will the light rays reflect after it is broken? So this is the answer. So think that this smooth material will be rough if it is broken, okay? So I hope this was clear and you get it. Now we will go to activity 5. We already know that light is a form of energy that travels in straight lines in form of light waves. We want to know that not all light rays reflected. Some of the light rays may be reflected by the objects or absorbed by the object, and the object take this light energy, or transmit. That means that the light go through this material. So here we have three things: as light absorption, or reflection, or transmission. Okay? Again, objects may absorb the light rays or reflect the light rays so we can see this object, or the objects may allow to the light rays to pass through them, to go through them. Okay? So as you see here, we have a mobile and screen for the mobile. The mobile is an object that doesn't allow light to pass through it, as we can see through the mobile. Yes, we can see the hand of the man. Okay. But here, the screen, it is an object that allows light to pass through it. Okay, as we see the hand of the man, so the light pass through the screen and we can see the hand. Okay, the mobile phone is an example for opaque object. Opaque object means the object that doesn't allow light to pass through it. And the screen is an example for a transparent object. Transparent object. Transparent object. Object that allows the light to pass through it. We need some other examples. Other examples for the opaque objects like wood, metal, stone, human body, tree, any object that doesn't allow the light rays to pass through it, this is an opaque object. And transparent objects like air, glass, water, lenses, all of these are transparent objects. We can know that the transparent objects are colorless, so they can pass the light rays. Okay? So here we have question. Why do you see your shadow? And this is because my body is an opaque object. When the light hits my body, it doesn't pass through my body. So it is absorbed or bounced off, reflected or absorbed, so the shadow forms because the light doesn't pass through my body. So is it clear? And this is for the shadow formed to any opaque object. For a tree, for any other object that is opaque, so shadow formed because this object doesn't allow the light to pass through it. We will know what happens in details when the light strike or hit matter. Matter means object, and this make the human and animal to see this object. Okay? First, when the light rays hit an object, strike an object, fall on an object, light bounces off the object. Light reflects from the object. The reflected rays travel in straight lines into the eyes, even for human or animal. And then special nerves in the eyes send messages to the brain. Then the brain translates these messages as an image of this object, so we can see the object. And here we can say that the brain interprets or translates. Both have the same meaning, as the brain tells us what is this. With this information, we finished our lesson. So don't forget to subscribe, like, and share my channel. Thank you for watching. See you soon, inshallah, and goodbye.